Alright, good evening folks, it's Enforcer Matt, and today we have very big news developing across Russia, Ukraine, and Iran, so let's jump right into it. This morning, both Latvia and Romania have been breached by drones, causing NATO to scramble fighter jets to intercept, and explosions could be heard in both countries as NATO jets shot down the drones, and this is currently a developing story, and a response may be imminent. Meanwhile, Ukrainian sources claim that a massive train carrying North Korean ballistic missiles en route to Russia was destroyed by Ukrainian special forces last night in a bold claim that could cause more issues for the Russian frontline soldiers if proven to be true. And also we have news that Ukraine struck and severely damaged the Crimean Baklava power plant, which serves as the peninsula's main power station, and also targeted dozens of substations, plunging the region into a major power blackout. And we also have news that Ukraine just conducted a large attack on Russia's biggest Baltic seaport at Ust-Luga, as fires and smoke have been seen across the facility. So we have some pretty big news today. It sounds like NATO countries are getting drone incursions on a regular basis now, and now Latvia is getting another one, and it's been months since the last incursion into Latvian airspace, so we have all the details about that right now. Let's go ahead and jump right into our first article here, which goes to Geo Insider, that tells us about this situation. We are seeing that in the eastern part of Latvia, apparently a drone flew straight into Latvian airspace, and we see here that Allied fighter jets had to shoot the drone down that entered the airspace in the Baltic region in northeastern Latvia, and an airspace alert was declared shortly before 0400 across several regions, including Balvi, Resnike, and Luksne, and the alert was lifted about an hour later after Latvia's National Armed Forces confirmed that the threat had ended. But in the meantime, though, it was panic. The residents received mobile phone alerts, they were told to go seek shelter, go to the bomb shelters, and it was an entire event. So this is a big deal because this is the second confirmed drone interception over Latvia just this year, and on June the 8th, just a couple of months ago, there was a French Allied fighter jet that shot down a different drone that also entered Latvian airspace between Resnike and Karsava. And right here, we actually have a map showing the areas that came under alert. And these areas highlighted in blue right here, these are all the areas that people were told to seek shelter in, and also the areas that were under that drone alert. And the drone flew in somewhere right around the Balvi area. So we don't know the exact spot it flew in, but NATO did immediately dispatch fighter jets to shoot it down. And also all the people ran to the shelters. So very concerning to say the least. Right now, we don't know exactly who was behind it. We don't know if maybe it was a Russian drone that flew straight in, or maybe a Ukrainian drone that went off course due to electronic warfare from the Russians. We simply don't know that yet, but obviously a very concerning story. But we do have some more details in our next post here, which goes to War Translated, and this is actually a post put out by the Armed Forces of Latvia themselves right here, and it says that the threat had ended. They informed the people that the threat in the airspace had ended. Allied fighter jets had successfully shot down the unmanned aerial vehicle that entered the airspace, and they said that they put out any information further on their own social media accounts. So as I said before, the details right now are very sparse about who was behind this. It could be anything right now at this point. So it's another drone incursion. It's somewhat of a rare incursion into Latvia. It doesn't happen very often, so we are monitoring that for more details. But moving into our next post here, something that we can confirm is Romania was violated by a confirmed Russian drone, most likely Russian drone. It appears to be a shot head in the video that we have that we can show you here in just a second. A drone crashed in Romania, apparently in Tulcea County, around 5 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, and it crashed in a wooded area. It exploded and caused a fire. There were no casualties or material damage reported so far, but Romania's defense ministry said that the drone was not detected by its radar. Apparently, flying at very low altitude, it was not able to be picked up, and this is the 4th reported breach involving a Russian drone in Romania in less than 48 hours, following 3 separate Russian drone violations of Romania airspace on Thursday. So this is becoming very frequent. I mean, Romania is getting literally hit left and right by drones from Russia, and Tulcea County is a hotbed of that activity because it sits right there next to the Ukrainian border. So let's take a look at the video and see the drone flying in. You can actually see the variant of drone that it is when it flew into the airspace. So let's take a look at that video. And there it is. That does appear to be a Shahed 136, the Iranian-provided drone that Russia fields quite heavily. That appears to be a Shahed in my view, based on what I'm seeing here in the clip. So this was the drone apparently flying into Tulcea County, flying straight into Romania, and obviously it flew straight in. It did not appear to be off course. It looks like it flew directly, intentionally, straight into their territory, just looking at the video here. So quite a bad incursion again, and luckily nobody was injured in this. It crashed in a wooded area, but it could have easily turned bad very quickly. But moving into our next post here, we also have one from Max 26, and we have a very bold claim right here. Another bombshell report that may or may not turn out to be true. We'll have to wait and see on this, but I'm going to go ahead and report it though, because this is a very big claim by the Ukrainian forces that apparently a railway train carrying North Korean ballistic missiles was allegedly destroyed in Siberia, 6,000 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. But I do want to emphasize there's been no official confirmation from the Ukrainian GUR just yet. And taking a look right here at the source of the information, a Ukrainian source apparently, they said, "Gentlemen officers, you are the best. Being related to Ukrainian intelligence, and that's a lot of my friends, is an honor," he says. "The GUR destroyed a railway train with North Korean ballistic missiles and ammunition, and as a result of the simultaneous explosion of railway tracks and rolling stock on the Trans-Siberian Railway, a military train transporting North Korean ballistic missiles and wagons with expendable shells for the needs of the Russian armed forces was completely destroyed." And he did say it was 6,000 kilometers from the front lines, and nothing survived according to intelligence circles, at least in his view. So, like I said, right now I'm waiting on official confirmation about this. This is coming from a Ukrainian source, which we believe to be reliable, but once again, we would prefer official confirmation of this, because this is such a bombshell claim that it's almost hard to believe that something like this was pulled off. If it turns out to be true, though, this could be the story of the year if that turns out to be true, but we are monitoring that one very closely for some more updates. But moving on from that one and moving into our next post here, this one's going to go to none other than woofers. And while all that stuff's been happening in, all these different areas of NATO airspace, we've also seen the situations happening elsewhere. We now have heard that in Crimea, Ukraine's been conducting a devastating strike on the power grid inside of Crimea. And this is much larger than we've seen previously. This appears to be a concerted effort by the Ukrainians to completely disable and destroy the entire grid inside of Crimea for pretty much anybody to use for the most part. And it's really turning ugly right now. So apparently the goal is to destroy the entire grid. That appears to be it. And right here we have a video showing Magyar's birds apparently going into Crimea and hitting literally dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of substations inside of the area. So let's take a look at a small portion of the clip to see what was hit, because it appears to be quite devastating. So let's take a look. And there you have it. I'm only going to show a short portion of this video, by the way, because it gets very repetitive very quickly. But you can see here, substation right there, after substation getting hit left and right. There's, of course, their emblem popping up right there. You can see the drones flying into the area. Apparently, right here, striking near the Baklava thermal power plant. In fact, that is the thermal power plant right there that they're hitting. Here it is right here on camera. They're hitting it with the drones right here. So, very big hit. Once again, Sevastopol was completely without power. You can see it right there on the map in the video, completely without power. And we believe there's some significant damage to that thermal power plant, which is the main one inside of Crimea. So speaking of that, moving into our next one here, this one also goes to woofers. We did see the air defenses by the Russians inside of the area of Crimea near the Baklava thermal power plant. They were desperately panicking, trying to shoot down the drones coming in, but I do not think they were very successful. As you can see here in just a moment in our next post coming up, I don't think they were very successful. But let's take a look here at the Russians desperately trying to save the power plant. Let's take a look. And there you have it right there. You see there's the spotlights from the Russian air defense forces there around the power facility, and I don't think they really hit anything. As you can see in that last video we just saw, it looked like the drones actually made their way on final descent to the target. So I don't really think they hit anything of importance, I would say, or at least the Russians did. And the Ukrainians certainly did, but the Russians certainly did not. But moving into our next post here, this one's going to go to Exile Nova. And speaking of the Baklava thermal power plant, we've seen the damage on that facility is quite extensive. We do have one video here apparently showing that from the roadway. So let's take a look at the clip and see what we can spot. And there it is. That is the thermal power plant, one of the main primary power units in Crimea that supplies power to the entire peninsula. You might notice there appears to be some possible major damage right there in that area right there on the left under the second stack. There appears to be what appears to be char marks or possibly an opening to the turbine hall right there. I really can't tell. It's kind of hard to see from this very blurry video right here, but it does appear to be damage in my personal assessment, but once again, that is up for debate because the video is rather blurry. But moving into our next piece of footage right here, we do have another one, actually the picture zooming in on that spot, which appears to be damage right there. So it's a little bit inconclusive exactly how bad it's been hit, but I would say to me, it looks like the thermal power plant could be out of action for some time. That could be a direct opening to the turbine hall for all we know, which would mean that the power plant is pretty much unusable to a large degree. So that is quite significant and a very big hit by the Ukrainians. But moving on to our next post here, we do have one from War Translated once again, and outside of all the stuff happening in Crimea right now, we're seeing that Ukraine is still systematically taking out Russian port after port. We saw about 48 hours ago the Novorossiysk port down near the Black Sea. That one was hit significantly. We saw several Russian Navy ships get hit there and damaged severely, and also apparently the grain facilities get hit there as well. So that's been very big hits in Novorossiysk. But we also see here in Ust-Luga, which is the biggest Baltic Seaport that Russia has in the Leningrad region, was attacked overnight and fires were reported. Right here you can see here's a couple of images of the attack. There's the apparently oil facility near the area. Moving into our next image here, there is smoke rising from the area of the port. Moving into our next one, there is another view of it from a highway that you can see out there in the distance. That's Ust-Luga port that got hit out there. And moving into our next one, there's a fuel truck trying to make its way toward the port, and there's clearly a huge fire on that location. So Ukrainian drones went straight for this area. Apparently they did make impact in several different locations from the looks of it, and it's another successful hit by the Ukrainians. But we do have a video apparently showing those drones flying into the area of Ust-Luga right here. Apparently it was Liudi drones that flew in, about a swarm of 5 of them that flew into Ust-Luga and hit the area. So let's take a look at the video right here and see those drones flying in, because it apparently was a pretty big swarm that the Russians were not able to combat. So let's take a look. And right there you can see that appears to be Ukrainian Liudi drones right there flying straight into Ust-Luga, and there's about 5 of them, and they're flying in a big formation, which by the way makes it harder for the Russians to shoot them down, because if they can't shoot down one at a time, they come in staggered. If they come in a formation, they can only shoot down maybe 1 or 2 of them at the best, which I believe is what happened here most likely. So you can see them flying straight in. They did hit near their port. We saw the smoke rising from that, and that was the initial moments of the attack on Ust-Luga. So I would say another successful hit and a pretty long-range strike near Leningrad by the Ukrainians. But moving into our next post here, we also have another one from none other than War Translated. A big shout out to War Translated, by the way, for the great post. We've also seen that the fuel lines are returning in a very large way. This video right here we're about to watch is coming from Smolensk. We see the Russian here apparently being very sarcastic in the video and showing this massive fuel line. And despite the Russians trying to bring in fuel from other areas, like for example India, and trying to import fuel from foreign countries, it does not appear to be working. It was only a temporary solution, and they're returning right back to these horrible fuel lines yet again. They're getting way worse this time. They're introducing limits on the fuel purchases. Also, the regions are spreading that the fuel lines are existing in. So let's take a look at the video and see the fuel line, and also the Russian being very sarcastic about the Russian government denying the entire situation. Let's take a look. And here it is. He said, "Look at this line for gas. Folks, this is totally beyond unreal." He also goes on to show the entire line right here and says, "Some of you might think this is the city of Smolensk, but you'd be mistaken." He says, "My dear beloved subscribers, and anyone else watching this video, this is the decaying west, and there something, a little bit of explicitives there." He said, "This isn't Smolensk." And also, by the way, he's being sarcastic. He said, "If you thought it was, cross yourselves. It's not Smolensk. Everything's fine with us. We have solid leadership. I feel very confident in our authorities, but this is the decaying west. And this is Europe rotting away," he says. "The winter is just right around the corner, and by the way, they might end up without gas too. It's possible. So think about that. Advise the folks currently sitting without gasoline to also stock up on firewood just in case for the winter." So that's how it is. So you can see this guy's being very sarcastic. He appears to be very fed up with the Russian government pretending like this isn't happening. That is clearly a lot of sarcasm right there. So if they find out who that guy is that filmed the video, I would imagine the FSB might be paying that guy a visit in the very near future. But if you thought Smolensk was the only place having this problem, you'd be sorely mistaken. The capital city of Moscow is also having this problem as well, and it's returning with a vengeance inside of Moscow. We're seeing the line at one of the gas stations here in the Moscow region. Apparently, the operator reports said the queue is stretching all the way from one bus stop to the next around the block, and apparently it's going to get much worse. So let's take a look at this video out of Moscow with the fuel lines extending out to the streets. Let's take a look. And there you have it. Look at that. This is a very long fuel line. This is definitely Moscow. There's a beamer right there in that line. So it's definitely Moscow. They got some money here in this Russian region, looks like. But you can see the guy speeding up. He's walking down the sidewalk here. He's actually a very slow walker, so I'm going to speed up the video a little bit. You can see he's making his way down to the fuel station right there. You can see all the people waiting. Look, he's even speeding up. He's walking himself this time. He knows he's going slow. Might need some more exercise. But as you can see, though, very big line right there. And I would say this is very bad for the Moscow region. I think this is going to get worse, like I said. But that pretty much shows everything we can see out of that video right there. Just once again, a very severe fuel line that is getting worse over the days. But moving into our next one here, this one's going to go to none other than OSINT Technical. We've gotten an insane video, by the way. Apparently, apparently from near the front lines, a Ukrainian Air Force MiG-29 Fulcrum fighter jet apparently did pull off like a James Bond maneuver. It shot down a drone that was heading toward apparently a Ukrainian position, and it looked like it almost stalled actually. It somehow pulled out of it, and it recovered, shot the drone down, and got out of the area without getting scathed whatsoever. So let's take a look. This is a pretty wild piece of footage right here. I haven't seen anything like this quite in a while. So let's take a peek at it and see what happened. So look at that. Look at that huge explosion. There's the jet pulling away right there. Look at that's crazy. Let me go ahead and mute that, by the way. It almost looked like the jet went into a stall for a second. Like when it went around that corner, it really was like scooting sideways. I'm not sure if maybe I'm just like seeing it from a different perspective or something. Maybe it looks like it's stalling, but that thing really pulled off like a wild maneuver right there with that. It did shoot the drone down though. Like you can see right there, the drone crashed into the ground and exploded. So it succeeded, but what a wild clip right there. Very action-packed, I would say. Also extremely good flying by that pilot right there doing that. Very skilled Ukrainian pilot, to say the least. So that was truly a wild clip right there. But moving into our next one, this one's going to go to none other than Andrew Perpetua. And he put out a video here apparently showing a loaf, a Russian loaf that somebody's outfitted in like disco camouflage. I'm not sure if there's a practical reason behind it, or maybe it's just like some, new Russian fad that they're doing for like decoration. But let's take a look. You're going to have a hard time believing this. Apparently a military vehicle with disco camouflage, but let's take a look. And I cannot play the audio. They're playing like trap beats behind us. Apparently they think this is really, really cool right here. But you can see though, there's the disco camouflage on the side. They've also apparently broken out the spray paint on the hubcaps, and they've painted it silver. This is a very ugly vehicle, by the way. Loafs are hideous, and also this disco camouflage made it even more tacky and worse. But I don't know if this is serving a camo purpose. Maybe it like helps to confuse AI targeting systems that Ukraine's using, possibly. But I think it might be just for decoration, because this seems to stand out worse than anything. And this literally reflects light, so it's like having a mirror on the battlefield, which is the worst thing you want to have. You don't want to signal where you're at with a mirror on a frontline battlefield situation. So I don't know what's up with this, but apparently the Russians are very proud of it. They think it's something else, which with the Russians' taste and stuff like that, I wouldn't be very surprised if they thought that looked great. But moving into our next one here, we actually have some news out of Iran. I know people have been waiting for the Iran news. They've been really chomping the bits to get to that piece of news here, and we have some news that's not very great right now. I'll be perfectly honest. The news isn't very good coming out of Iran. It looks like we might be about to go back to war again. Unfortunately, Groundhog Day yet again. But we have heard that apparently 2 UAE oil tankers were struck in Hormuz yesterday. We do have one of the reports right here. I think they accidentally duplicated one of the reports about this, but let's take a look. And we can see right here in our first report, here it is. This appears to be the typical location that Iran usually attacks vessels. It's right off the tip of Oman right there. You can see the yellow circle. That shows the attack area. They said that apparently the tanker was struck by a UAV whilst conducting an outbound transit going out of the Strait of Hormuz. The vessel was subject to damage, and the crew was reported safe. But right now, no oil spill has been reported or anything like that. But there was an attack here right off the coast of Oman, and apparently a second attack too. I don't have that report offhand right now, but apparently 2 ships were attacked. So this runs very contrary to what the U.S. is saying about the Strait being basically open and under U.S. control. That pretty much proves that to be completely false to a large degree, which is no shock whatsoever to most people. But moving into our next post here, this one's going to go to open source intel yet again, and we've also heard an update about the Iranian leader that hangs out quite often in the closet, apparently, no pun intended. U.S. intelligence and a senior CIA official apparently confirmed to Fintech's network that the Iranian Supreme Leader Mujtaba Khomeini apparently survived the February airstrikes that took out his father, but officials are unable to independently determine Mujtaba's location since. And we have heard this before. It's not a new report necessarily, but it does prove one thing. Wherever Mujtaba is at, he is not leaving that position. He is hiding extremely well, and I would tend to believe this. I really don't think they know where he's actually at. I'm not sure if many Iranians know where he's at. I think very few top Iranian officials actually have contact with him, maybe like 2 or 3 people possibly at the best, and that's not a good sign for his leadership. If he's that scared to come out, then, no pun intended again, but if he's that scared to come out, then, I don't think that's a really good confident leader, I would say. So I don't think he's really leading Iran too much that right now. I think he's just a figurehead at this point. It could be the military's actually in charge, and Mujtaba may not even be alive. He may already be dead, possibly. It's kind of hard to tell. But with that, folks, that is actually our last piece of news of the video. But before you go, though, smack the like button and also subscribe to the channel as well. And if you want to leave us a comment below, we do enjoy seeing the comments, by the way. If you want to have a suggestion for us or make a comment about something you saw in the video, or let us know how we can improve the videos, feel free to let us know down there in the comments, though. We try to read as many of those as we can, by the way. We do appreciate seeing those. And it does help out the videos, too, if you leave a comment. So we do appreciate that. And also, if you want to support our channel on Patreon, financially that is, you can do so on our Patreon page. And I left a description or a link down in the description below for our Patreon page that you can click on and go over there and check it out. We do post some behind the scenes stuff over there occasionally on Patreon, which y'all might find interesting. And of course, that support financially does help the channel and keep us running. And we do appreciate our Patreon supporters very, very much. But with that, we will see you all tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern on the next Nightly War News stream to cover the rest of the news throughout the day and over the last 48 hours. And I hope to see you all then, of course. And with that, bye-bye for now.